Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Adam Caplan, Geoff Mosher. Should be an exciting Inside the Birds. We are finally through the draft. And if you missed any of our draft coverage, it's all available on our YouTube and our podcast platforms. We did live streams on Thursday and Friday night. We did a recap on Sunday of round 3. So all those picks, we've talked about them. And what we're going to do now is kind of get into how the depth chart will look. We will do offense for this episode because there's a lot of conversation to be had there. Next episode, which will be Thursday mornings, 6 a.m. drop, we'll go through the defense. I know people, Adam, want us to talk about some of the rookie free agent signings and get intel on that. It's just, the Eagles haven't officially announced the names yet. And B, until we just need some time to do some homework on that.
Yeah. And the unfortunate part, this happens every year. I've gotten burned before, where an agent will tell me, "Hey, this guy's going to sign here," and then 2 hours later, he says, "You know what? We got a better offer."
Yep,
they're allowed to do that because they haven't signed anything. The contracts aren't signed on Sunday, folks. They're just they'll be, "Oh, this guy signed this." Rarely are they signed. So. As Geoff said, there's no sense of guessing. Another thing I'll tell you, the Eagles, the tight end they signed from Nebraska, they beat out a couple teams for him. I'm not sure how, but I'd heard pretty good source on that they were able to get him from whatever teams that were involved. So, and this always happens. It's about just a moment, and you know this, Geoff. It's really about relationships that you have with agents, and thankfully, Andy Weidel and Harry Roseman and their scouts and other members of the front office. They've been in the league for a long time, so they know a lot of agents, so it does help.
Yeah, sure. Opportunity also matters sometimes, where if you think you have a better chance of making the team, which is why I think the tight end last year signed with the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, right? Togiai?
Yeah. Oy vey.
And he should have probably made the team.
Ironically, it's the great Steve Carrick, who is Zach Ertz's agent.
Yes, ironically.
Yeah. But in that one, never. And see, it's funny. We talk about this. They never should have cut him. I know, we talked about this ad nauseum a year, 9 months ago, whatever it was. But they thought they could sneak it through waivers, and it's the chance that you take sometimes. And they rolled snake eyes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now he was a good blocker too, along with a pass catcher. And you wonder, I would sense that a Nebraska tight end can probably block a little bit. I know the sport has changed, but yeah. Nebraska, I think it might be a fair guess that those guys can block.
Yeah. It goes back to, geez, I'm so old. I remember Mike Rozier, and all they did is run the football.
Oh my God. Yeah. With the great Tom Osborne as their coach. Right. All right. So kind of a normal schedule this week. We will have our 6th and final installment of Inside the Draft with Greg Cosell, and he will help us recap some of these picks with some great breakdowns of who the Eagles picked, and that'll be out Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. And Q&A will be back at it on their own.
Yeah,
Wednesday, 6 a.m. they'll drop too. So
can't wait to hear that.
Oh yeah, it's good. That I agree. Cannot wait to hear their opinion on the draft. All right, so let's kind of get into the state of the Eagles roster here with the offense. Well, actually, real quick, Adam. Because we talked about it so much going into the draft, we should at least kind of put a bow on like the Howie Roseman draft. He was under so much scrutiny for not necessarily for picking players, although yes, but just for being able to galvanize the department a little bit.
And then the Tom Donahoe thing.
Yeah. And the Donahoe thing, I feel like, look, have I been told by many teams that happens in war rooms and it's just not always caught on video? Yes, war rooms can be intense. There are always last-second arguments and things like that. So I do feel like it put a blemish on what might otherwise be a good process. Like you and I said, we liked the process and the approach of the draft. It didn't feel like there was I didn't hear about any new philosophies. All of a sudden we love backup quarterbacks. Last year, every guy ran a 4.2. It didn't seem like they were, I'm sure analytics were involved, but it didn't seem like they went overboard.
Yeah.
It just felt like a normal draft where they were trying to kind of replenish the roster with players that they traditionally and historically value, which is linemen.
Yeah, I would say that I would add this. At least twice, the general manager said, I believe in the post-draft, well, the whatever, what do they do? They did a post round 1, post 2 and 3, and then post 4 through 7.
Yes.
At least twice, he talked about, these scouts are working hard for 9 months. We
Right.
need, we need it. We stayed true to our board, which obviously, if you read the Athletic article, which they did a great job, Inquire stuff are reporting over the last 3 years on this.
Right.
The general manager has had a history of not staying true to the board and missing. He actually admitted that on the record. He said it might have been post draft after 4 through 7.
Right.
And okay, so I don't know this as a fact. I'm sure he's either read the articles, because we know we've heard over 10 years that if he hasn't read the articles, the PR department briefs him on it. What he's going to be asked, as you know.
He knows it's
of course. So I'm guessing it's response to that, because at this point, all of us are putting stuff out there. Anyone just reporting on the team, we're just like holding back, you know. And why deny it? He's not even denying it.
Yeah. So I see like that well, not from Howie. No, he's never met. Usually, he's never met a narrative that he didn't want to fight or combat. Exactly. So, good on him. I have heard a lot of back off Howie. He can do it right thing, and that's fine. It's just, I guess I would say that it's a shame that it took to get back to doing what you're supposed to do the right way. And I think the big challenge is it's a little bit like when you've been humbled through stories like that, plus you have a new coaching staff, you're rebuilding, there is not a pressure to win a Super Bowl next year. It's probably a little easier to take a step back, self-evaluate. I would just hope that Howie maintains this kind of strategical approach and doesn't change again as the years goes on and they're trying to get to win a Super Bowl and different theories and concepts get in there. This is how you should draft every year. You should listen to your people.
Yes.
And have a good process.
I agree. However, here's the one issue that will not change. Analytics are involved in every draft. The 3rd round pick, and we're not doing defense on the show, just to give you an example, he meets the analytics quotient in terms of athleticism, work, numbers. Now, I know his tape is super intriguing. I'm not discounting that. We're talking about Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
But he's also from a small school against poor competition, and that matters on defense. Not so much quarterback, believe it or not. Talk to personnel people over the years. Sometimes it's just about the tape. Well, Milton Williams, certainly his tape was really super intriguing last year. That got him on the Eagles' radar for the 3rd round. But if you look at the analytic numbers, they really match. And they don't match in terms of athleticism and certain attributes that you look for in analytics. But arm length is not very good. That's a concern. So I'm just saying, based on what you were saying, analytics will never leave the Eagles when they draft. It's just a fact. There'll never be a draft where analytics doesn't play a part. That's just because of the owner. It's the fact.
Totally agree with that. He is 275 pounds, so he better test well for a defensive tackle. He should run better than others, and it'll be very interesting. Not that we'll talk more about him next pod, but to see how they use him. Whether he's more of a tackle, more of an end in a certain, like a backup pass rush package, because at 275, that's really more.
Yeah, I don't know what his weight is right now. That's a good question. We have to find out. We know he's going to be somewhere in the 280s most likely.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, well, actually, here's the question for him, and it goes for any offensive lineman when you bring these guys in. How much are they going to be told to put on weight? I would assume so. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, it's hard to do that, but yeah.
But at his pro day, I'm looking for, let's see, his pro day. Milton Williams weighed 284, 6'3" even.
Okay.
So yeah, he's
even
got
284 that's even pretty light for a
yeah, he should be around 300. Correct. Yep.
Right. So, but the athleticism should come in handy for what we know Jonathan Gannon wants to do. Again, we'll get more into that. Yeah. So my hope is that there's no losing our way again. That you kind of keep the ship afloat. Remember what it's like to have a good process and
a good point,
because we have heard there have been points. Howie's been a GM for almost 10 years now. I kind of remember after the disastrous draft of Marcus Smith draft, right? That every time there's things don't go right, you do hear like, well, we may kind of need to re-examine things. So, I mean,
one thing off that, and I know it doesn't look pretty. I know some people are not happy with they only drafted the one corner, but understand this: if they didn't go by their draft board, they probably would have had 3 corners. But just because that means they weren't going through their process correctly. Yeah, there's going to be some suffering at the cornerback position. Their overall position is awful. It's just a fact. It's Slay, who's now 30. The kid they drafted in the 4th round, they love. Okay, you and I know this. They're very high on this kid. Okay, they think they've got like a sleeper or a guy that maybe some people didn't have as highly rated, but it's kind of like the Avonte Maddox pick. The way that I heard in 18, it seemed like the whole room was like, "This is the guy." No, he's been up and down. He's flashed. He needs to be more consistent, but they may wind up getting that right through 3 years. It's more good than bad, but he's just has to play inside. We know that, but just to summarize what you were talking about, and I think it's a great discussion. Had they gone off their board, you would see. Had they not followed the board, you'd see different players here. They actually did, from what I understand. I know you and I have talked privately about this. From what we understand, for the most part, I don't know the 3rd rounder if he was just right where they took him. I don't know. I haven't got to defense yet, but I do know that that analytics numbers, it matches. So that's just the reality of it, folks. With this football team, with this owner, it'll never go away. You just got to accept it.
Correct. All right, so let's move into our offensive discussion. Obviously, we'll take a look at the quarterback situation. Jalen Hurts, right now, your starting quarterback. Joe Flacco, your backup quarterback. There are reports that the Eagles have signed Jamie Newman, the Wake Forest. Well, did he even play at Wake? He did, right?
Yeah,
he transferred to Georgia
guy.
and never played there, right?
Yeah, we'll have a tape breakdown. I've got 2 people that would have seen him. So, and he would be like we said, you can't go to training camp with 2 quarterbacks. Well, the funny thing is, because there's no rookie mini camp, like usually, the funny thing, I love the rookie mini camps because this is where Cam Brate was found actually for the Bucs, but not what happened with Cam Brate. He's the Buccaneers tight end. He was actually not even signed after the draft. The Buccaneers called his agent, and his agent, Brate went to Harvard. They said, "Hey, we need a tight end. Do you have anybody?" Well, no, they called him. They knew they had Cam Brate. He said, "Listen, when we can't promise you he'll even be here past this rookie minicamp. We have to have him. We need a tight end. We just don't. Something like whatever tight ends they showed up. One of them didn't show up. Whatever guys they signed, they missed one. So these rookie minicamps, you just never know. And every once in a while, a guy will be invited that is way down your list, and the guy just shocks the world. You just don't know. So unfortunately, we're not having one because the Eagles players are not going to be showing up until the mandatory camp in June, unfortunately.
There you go. All right. Well, so we will see if Jamie Newman can kind of show up and if he's the guy and how quickly he can acclimate to the Eagles offense. Good size, right? 6'4", 220 pounds. So the first thing you look for is prototype size and arm. So he's got the size, and I don't really know much about his arm. We'll see.
I don't. Yeah, that's why we'll reserve judgment until we find out.
Now let me ask you this, because we're gonna probably talk about this at various times until official becomes official. Is it safe yet to say Jalen Hurts will definitely be the starter when the season opens, or are you still kind of leaving that door open?
I would say high probability. Now here's the thing. This is just me speaking. I think Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, said what he said. For everything that I've heard from inside is that he's so big on competition. Number one, he doesn't know Jalen Hurts. He never worked with him before. He's a new coach. Sirianni is to this organization. So he's inheriting these 2 quarterbacks. Okay. Yes, the owner, I'm sure my good friend Chris Morrison's reporting is correct. That the owner didn't want any competition. Okay, well, the head coach wants competition. He wants a competitive environment. The way I look at this, unless Hurts falls flat on his face, no matter how well Flacco does, Hurts is going to be the starter. Now, assuming the 3 preseason games are all played, those are going to be important. So is training camp. Now, that mandatory camp in June, assuming that's all we get in the offseason, that'll count too. Because you're just not getting the reps that you normally would get. And Joe Flacco's the veteran. Jalen Hurts has started 4 games.
First interesting potential conundrum for Jalen Hurts. He is now a second-year player, which means you're kind of a veteran because you're not a rookie. Do you not show up as a show of solidarity with your union to the voluntary minicamps? Or do you say, I'm sorry, guys, like I need to show up to the voluntary minicamps?
Well, yeah, but but you would only show up if others are showing up who you can work out with.
Well, that's a great point.
Yeah.
How do the rookies fit into that? Well, I guess they're part of the union now, right?
Yeah, they're all not. Yeah, they agreed now, but it's interesting. Some agents told me around the league, some some veterans might just show up anyway.
Right. The guys who have workout bonuses are going
Yeah,
to show up to make the money. And
right,
it's my
right,
understanding the
because
agency, the NFLPA is like, you should do that to make your money. Yeah.
exactly, because last year at this time they weren't allowed to show up, where this year they are allowed to show up. So it's
Right.
fascinating. It's hitting another subplot for this offseason.
Well, don't you think, like, even if a lot of players aren't there and you're not on the field, I mean, the coaches will be there. You're Jalen Hurts. You're trying to get as much. You don't have any time right now with the coaches other than the
Right,
phase
but you
one.
remember you're not allowed to. You can't have any classroom time during phase one.
No, I'm talking about for when voluntary mini camps start.
Oh, you mean in May, middle of this month? I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it's just food for thought, like a
Yeah,
conundrum.
I don't know what they're allowed to talk about. Because there's certain rules there's certain things you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So we would have to see. But the fact of the matter is, if there's no one on the field, it's basically a waste of time. You might as well do it through Zoom, whatever you want to talk about. Why even? I know what you're saying. It's like, well, you haven't met these guys. That's true, but if you're not getting on field time here, it's just kind of. It's like I remember talking to coaches last year. The coaches that I spoke with in the offseason, a couple dozen of them, with various teams, decided they were given the option of showing up. They decided to work from home. Why show up if you haven't? There's no players there.
Right.
Just do it over Zoom.
I wonder if Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles figure out a way to safeguard themselves better, like they did last year. They did a great job with the rings. I mean, they were going to rebuild certain rooms in the NovaCare, and then they just decided to use the link. I mean, I wonder if they'll try to make it as safe as it was last year, or even safer for players to feel that maybe they should show up. It'll hurt them. I mean, look, I respect anybody's decision. It's voluntary for a reason, and so I 100% understand. But this is not a veteran team, so
no, they need the reps. They really need to be in front of these coaches. You make a great point. It crushed it. It's funny because the Eagles were the only returning staff last year, and it sure as hell didn't help.
Right.
And they made a lot of changes last year, and they have even more changes this year. They have a new staff, but they have what they have. Though a lot, if you look at the offensive skill players, Geoff, a lot of them are back. That's a good thing. But
that is a good thing.
We'll see how the new coaches want to use them.
Right. All right, let's move on to. Do you want to move on to running backs now? Take a look at that.
Yeah. So we got Sanders, of course, Scott, Jordan Howard, and Kenny Gainwell, my guy. And then I put these guys on the far down list. These guys are major long shots. It's highly super unlikely they'll even make it to the end of August. Like Jason Huntley, Elijah Holyfield, Adrian Killens. They're not going to be on the roster in the fall unless somebody gets hurt. It would take, especially Huntley. They have too much duplication with him. For Holyfield, who doesn't run very well, is stiff. He's a powerful guy, but this is the problem that I have with. We said this last year. They had a wonderful opportunity to bring Holyfield on the roster, and they refused to do it. They wouldn't let him. They just wouldn't do it. We were like, why? What?
Yeah, I'm shocked that he's even still on the team.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he back?
Right. So here's what I get. I mean, I love the pick of Gainwell. It fits the offense and everything. We did feel this offseason that the Eagles needed someone with a little more thump to them. Now, Jordan Howard could be that guy, but it's hard to say that Jordan Howard is definitely going to make the team. I mean,
they're going in, just so you know, they're going with he's definitely making it, unless he looks terrible in training camp. He'll be the main backup,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense because Kenny's a rookie and
and he's also smaller, though he's for a 5'8" and change guy, he's over 200 pounds, but he's not the one knock on him, which is true because it shows on coaching tape, and a couple coaches told me that he does not run well enough inside. He needs to. And I think you said it on our post-draft show. You said that what you had heard is I couldn't believe you said this. It broke my heart because Bryce Brown, the reason why Bryce Brown never made it is because he thought he was Reggie Bush trying to break everything outside.
That's correct.
And he drove the coaches crazy.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Was it
Bryce
Marty Morningweg?
Bryce Brownitis is what I called it. Yeah.
Right. It was an awesome line. I don't know. I don't know if it was Marty Morningweg, Ted Williams, the running backs coach. So one of the coaches I'd heard through the grapevine. That's why Bryce Brown never made it, because he coached him hard and he just wouldn't listen. Nice kid, but the brother of Arthur Brown, former linebacker for the Ravens. But when you don't listen to your coaches, you don't do what you're supposed to, you're not going to be there very long.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So here's the thing: if Miles Sanders were to get hurt, Jordan Howard's got to be the one that's carrying the load.
That's why he's on the
I mean,
roster.
they'll make a committee, right? But Jordan Howard would be
the term that coaches give me. You have to have an answer. He is the answer now. Now, doesn't mean he'd be the main ball carrier. Your primary first and second down guy, probably. Gainwell. Now the thing with Gainwell is please do not use that stone he gave to Parsons. He had a great block, no doubt, but that's not reflective of him in pass pro. He's just average, I was told by a Memphis source, which is very high up in Memphis. Said that no, he's just average in it. He's the thing that I loved is that from a mental standpoint, they gave the running back so much volume in terms of everything. Slot, X receiver, third down. They'll line him up. They'll line him up as an F back, although he's really not physically big enough. But they'll line him up in that position. This is what they do. This is why these guys, you mentioned it on our post draft show, whether it's Pollard or Gibson and now Gainwell. These kids are so schooled in every different running back formation and variation, and as a slot receiver. And by the way, he's going to play that Hines role, Nyheim Hines, and it probably won't happen this year because he's a rookie. But down the line, once they think he's comfortable, he'll have way more touches than Hines. He's that special. He is way special than Hines. Hines is a good football player, but this kid is super special. It's just that he didn't play last year, and you just don't know what you're getting for a guy who didn't play.
Well, you like the fact that the head coach and his right-hand man, Kevin Patullo, the passing game analyst, both come having that experience getting the ball in the hands of what's his name again?
Hines.
The guy Nyheim Hines, right? Yeah. And Steichen comes from the Chargers, where they did a good job of getting the ball in the hands of Austin Eckler. Probably as good of a job as any team is getting their ball.
It's a great point. I mean, if these guys, if Sanders' catches don't go up, obviously if he doesn't drop the ball as much as he did. But I would think targets will go up for those of you playing fantasy. Sanders is going to get a ton of touches. The question now is, does Boston Scott get usurped eventually by Gainwell? I would say yes, but I can't say if it's going to be the first month of the season. 5 months. I don't know, because again, he's a rookie. B, he didn't even play last season. He's only had 1 year of college production. Now, it was a monster year in 19. Folks, if you could find I don't know if coaching tape is on YouTube. I know the TV tape is there. But if you see this is why Greg Cosell, and he'll be with us Tuesday morning, but Greg said, and you could see the clip. Geoff did a great job. He put the clip up on our Twitter feeds, right? I think they're like 10,000 views now. Just Greg talking about Gainwell. Because I'm a Gainwell guy. I was like, yes, he got the Cosell thumbs up. When he gets the Cosell thumbs up, I'm like, yes.
Well, I like the fact that Cosell, I don't want to say the direct comparison, but talked about similar abilities to catch the ball the way you see Alvin Kamara catch the ball. Yes. He's not Alvin Kamara. I mean, Alvin Kamara is a bigger guy.
Kamara's a much bigger guy. He's 215. Yeah, right. But what Greg meant is they line him up in the slot. In fact, I would argue that Gainwell's played more receiver positions than Kamara. That's how crazy his formation variation was in 19. That
was kind of like Gibson.
Where's Waldo? What's that?
That was kind of like Antonio Gibson as well, being more of a receiver than a running back.
Right.
All right. So I mean, we'll do 53 mans down the road, but Sanders.
That's in June. We'll do our first 53 man production in June. Oh my God, the traffic we got for the show. You never know, because this is a new venture for us. We listen to what you guys want, and because if you look at our message board on Facebook, everybody loves their roster projections. I'm like, all right, let's do one. And man, and of course we got people think we're out of our mind with some of the stuff we were saying. I'm like, all right, we got to make it. We got to make a call in June.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so you got Sanders, Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, Kenny Gainwell, and then the last, Adrian Killens will still be a project. Jason Huntley.
That was a waste of time.
Who did they wind up? Was it Togiai that they got rid of to make room for Huntley?
Togiai, yeah, he might have been. It's a good call. I think you might have been right. In fact, I remember us. I had my line source, and I remember putting it on our show here. What was troubling is when the guy said he had trouble with kickoff returns. I'm like, the thing with it, the thing why you claim it is because of kickoff returns. They have awful kickoff returns. It's
right.
And he couldn't do that. And he said he's a good kid. And he did say, because this guy knew the Eagles and their analytics, he goes, he meets analytics. This is probably why they claimed him. I'm telling you, that's exactly why.
Analytics, baby. All right, let's go to wide receiver, because this is a really eclectic bunch. I mean, you got a lot of different shapes and sizes here.
Speed.
Speed, you got speed, clearly with Devonta Smith. But let's be very clear about Devonta Smith, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, he has speed. Not Deshaun Jackson, though. He's not just a deep threat. I was told he is a good route runner and can pretty much every tree and branch on the route tree. I told you, a Pittsburgh Steelers source, I think, told me it was reminded of Marvin Harrison. So, that's a pretty good comparison right there.
I love that. That is, Marvin might be the smoothest route runner I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. And Marvin doesn't run as well as Smith, but Marvin's in the Hall of Fame. So that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I don't want people to think that it's just that they drafted a one-trick pony speed guy.
Sure.
This is not John Ross. This is a guy who can do everything.
Hey, he was the Heisman Trophy winner and non-quarterback. I mean, think about that.
I still can't get over that he had 13 catches for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well,
in the first half.
I know, and I'm like, could you please cover this guy? What are you doing?
They couldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was pretty amazing. So Travis Fulgham, interestingly, you kind of said he gets a reprieve, I guess, because in Devonta Smith, it's not a guy who's just going to stay at the X position,
right? Because he's Smith, and Sirianni's true. Because Sirianni had some great. I'll tell you what, he doesn't hide anything. In fact, he bristles when he thinks there's something wrong that people are saying. But he says, I don't agree with that. But he's so descriptive of what he wants and what he sees and what he likes.
Very descriptive.
Well, what I like is, and this is true because he likes positional versatility, and he likes what it was described to me by receivers coaches leading up to draft. I talked about some on our pre-draft shows. Positionless receivers, don't just go by X and Z and F. Just go by outside and inside receivers. And by the way, Fulgham, Reagor, Smith all could play inside and outside. Now, we know that Reagor is better as a movement Z. Devonta Smith can line up at everything. And Cosell talked about it. You can line these guys anywhere. They just have to be able to get off press. If they can't get off press and they can't play that certain position, they got to be moved. But Fulgham could get off anything. It's just for him, as we first reported. At the end of the season, he had some maturity issues. So did Reagor.
Yeah.
Hightower, Watkins, they all have the challenges of young guys. They got to mature. And let me add one thing. Devonta Smith is a major alpha. He will not take any BS. He's serious about his job. This is from 2 personnel sources who graded for the draft. And he will transform that room, one source said. This guy's not from the Eagles. He said, because he was on the road. This guy was driving. He goes, who do they have on the roster? I said, Travis Fulgham. He goes, okay, I know about him. Reagor, I know about him. He said, Hightower and Watkins, he knew about him. He was actually surprised that the Eagles drafted Watkins because of some character maturity concerns. Because the team that this guy works for said he had him that he was off their board. He said
he was a 6th round pick. So
but he said he's way more talented than Hightower. He just said they're just some maturity things that you just couldn't get over. The character grade was so low that like you said, he was a 6th round pick. But we forgot to mention Whiteside. Yes, he's technically on the roster.
Is there any reason to think that because the new coaching staff is supposed to be a good staff for developing wide receivers, that Arcega-Whiteside also might get a reprieve here or a second chance?
Did Sirianni, did he not talk about him a couple months ago? Did he say he liked him or something? I think he might have.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. But again, he's also a natural X. So if there's a reprieve for Fulgham, maybe but here's the thing though.
Well, there's a reprieve because they didn't draft the true X. That's why
or a big guy like him. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the thing is though that he's going to have a really good camp and make it as a top 3 receiver, and that's because he doesn't play special teams. So if you're going to keep him as a 4th or 5th wideout, that doesn't make sense, right? Because you want those guys to be able to impact special teams. So he's going to he needs to have a great camp and
I agree
and convince this coaching staff that he can line up, X at least to 30% of the plays.
He's to me, he's on the outside looking in. You said it very well. He has to earn a roster spot. Just like they cut down Al Pumphrey. I understand he was a 4th rounder and this kid's a 2nd. There's no allegiance to him anymore. I've learned a lot about their thinking and how they're going to handle things. Earlier well, you can't cut him after 1 year, but he's now played 2 and contributed next to nothing. He will have to earn his way on the roster, and that'll come down to I would hope late August, where he makes it even. I would hope he actually does well enough that it's actually a decision. Where they have to actually think about it. Whereas right now, there's not much of a decision. He has not earned anything.
And just for people to understand that is, it's going to be hard for the casual fan to know, because if you remember, Arcega-Whiteside had a good training camp last year as far as catching the ball a lot. And I think, did they play any preseason games? They didn't, right? But
no,
the reports were he was having so much better of it. But what the coaches see on the tape in the NovaCare complex compared to what maybe, people see at practice is a whole different story. So we learned that with a lot of wide receivers who catch a lot of passes in training camp and aren't what they
Nay drops Brown. Do I have to? Do I have to?
I do remember Jordan Matthews, because of the nature of being a slot receiver, and in the 7-on-7s, it's a lot easier for the younger quarterbacks or the newer quarterbacks to just hit those crossing routes against nobody, right? And Jordan was wearing 81. That was his number.
ROA, routes on air.
I remember a few Terrell Owens comparisons that made me laugh. Because he looked nothing like Terrell Owens, but
really, people say,
yeah.
That I never.
In fact, the way I realized how to really watch him and figure out if he had that kind of explosion was in the one-on-ones. He had trouble getting open in the one-on-ones against Malcolm Jenkins, who's a safety, not a corner, a safety,
a former corner,
Yeah, former corner, but still, like if you're a slot receiver and you're matched, and he's a good safety. I'm just trying to say,
he could cover though. He's smart. Yeah,
right. But I mean, you could just tell Jordan did not have that twitchiness at all to really break to the outside and beat guys with double moves.
Funny story about that. I'll never forget it. It was our first year of doing ITB, and the Eagles. This is the game where Jordan Matthews was brought back in 2018, and if I remember correctly, against the Titans, didn't he play X for Jeffrey? Or I know it was Jeffrey's first game. It was when Maddox played safety.
Yes.
And Jordan Matthews, was it that game or the Dolphin game where he went up an X and he had the bomb?
It was against the Titans. He had caught the bomb touchdown, but the problem was the cornerback slipped and fell, so there was nobody defending.
All right. Hey, but I was right though. Okay. I'm seeing it in front of me. I just because I remember, I think what happened was I had my back turned. And I don't know I don't think he wore the same numbers he did the first time around. He might have worn 81 this time around. I don't know, whatever. But the point is this, it was so ridiculous because he doesn't run very well. And I remember after he left the Eagles and went to the Niners, I had him on Sirius on NFL radio. And I know he didn't like the point that I made about him only playing the slot. He goes, I could play outside. He was he's a nice guy, but he was very defensive about it.
Yeah.
But, Chip Kelly, look, as soon as he got him, he moved to the slot. And it was a great decision.
Immediately.
He was really good.
Yeah. No, yeah. He was a perfect slot receiver for what they needed. They just had nothing on the outside. Yeah. I remember when Mark Sanchez came to the Eagles that year, I remember watching a practice where he threw, I think it was 8 or 9 straight passes to Jordan Matthews in 7-on-7s. So just because, look, it's right. It's the closest guy to you. There's no pass rush.
Yeah.
He's going to catch it when you throw it across the middle, but not anything past 15 yards down the field.
Right.
All right. So, all right. Before we move on from wide receiver, I as I look at the list here, I wonder myself, Adam, is Greg Ward fighting for a job because they have so much more explosion now from the slot?
Because Fulgham
can move these guys.
Yep. Fulgham played some slot last year. Rager absolutely could play slot, and he will get some slot this year for sure. Smith obviously can.
Yeah.
Look, we had said all that season, Greg Ward's a great story, great kid. He doesn't run well enough. And they need to increase their speed from the inside. And now the one thing he is super dependable. He does get open. That does mean something. So is he fighting for a job? It's a good question. I would say they may deny it, but I would say, if just us talking here, I would say yes. Well, I mean, put it this way.
I guess it's between him and Whiteside, right? Because you usually keep 5 or 6. So you're keeping Rager, you're keeping Smith. I'm sure Hightower is going to make it based on what they built them.
Actually, I don't believe that at all.
No, okay, that's fair because he's a 5th-round pick.
He's got to grow up.
Fulgham.
He's got Hightower had a good training camp, and then he just completely disappeared. Wrong routes.
Right.
He just Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned all this. Fulgham, Rager, and Smith are locks. After that, it's just wide open for the final two spots. So they're not going to keep 6 unless something crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Probably 5. So
Yeah.
I mean, Hightower
Ward's
is
in there.
fighting with
I mean,
Ward, Watkins, and Arthega.
There's an opportunity here if Hightower and Watkins could light it up and mature a little bit. Arthega Whiteside's going to have a shot, but he's just doesn't run well enough.
That's true. All right. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code ITB. If you're a new user, you'll have the chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. All right. There's a big fight. You just go to DraftKings, become a new user, use that promo code ITB, and you'll have a chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on the weekend's big fight only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's finish with tight end here. By the way, we are doing offensive line, right? Yeah, that's down.
Yeah, we'll do that after that. Yep.
Just making sure. Dallas Goedert. This is a really interesting group of people. I mean, Zach Ertz, we can talk about him now, but I mean, it's we'll get into what Howie said, right? Jason Kroom, Caleb Wilson, Tyree Jackson, Hakeem Butler. It's like you've got numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but really after Goddard, it's like anybody's guess.
Seriously, because if you look at, we're going to get to the general manager's comments after the draft, which are pretty interesting. It's Goddard. Jason Kroom is a slot tight end. Caleb Wilson is a slot tight end, doesn't block very well. Tyree Jackson's learning how to play tight end. He's a former quarterback. Keem Butler's learning how to play tight end because he's a former receiver.
Right.
So they're all just developmental fourth tight ends. They need Richard Rodgers back in the worst way.
I agree.
I mean, geez.
He hasn't signed anywhere, right?
No.
Well, what's the hold up here?
Well, we're what he's going to be offered, a veteran minimum. That's what they're off. That's kind of where they're at with the cap,
Yeah, well, the fact that he hasn't signed with anybody else yet makes me think.
Well, I mean, it's only May. Yeah, I mean, so many veterans will sign in August.
Yeah,
they don't want to get. It's like if you're going to get the minimum salary benefit deal, why would you sign now? Makes no sense.
Right. He's only 29 years old. It's not like he was even an old dude or anything. It feels like he's been around.
I know it does.
Caught that Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers for what seems like
a good point
eons ago. But no, he's only 29 years old.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him back. And you go with Goddard, Rodgers, and one of these, 3 or 4. Probably Kroom, or I would think Tyree Jackson. He won on the practice squad to develop for a year. Kroom or Butler, somebody who kind of impresses you. But obviously, Adam here. The impetus on Dallas Goedert to stay healthy, play at least 14, 15 games and be that guy is big.
Who is the one who caught the touchdown and he just stood there?
That would be Hakeem Butler, wasn't
it? Yeah. So he just like looking around. Hey, wait a minute, you're not covering me? That was funny.
Yeah, that was. All right. So Ertz, I mean, we still think he's not going to be on the roster. I know Tim McManus from ESPN.com asked Howie about it after the draft. And, I mean, if you can, parse Howie's words, and I'll read the exact quote here. Zach's a really good player and a really good person, and he's under contract with the Eagles. At the same time, we have a lot of respect for him and what kind of player he is and what he's done for our team. But this isn't a guy in the twilight of his career. He's a guy still in his prime. A year ago at this time, everyone was talking about where he ranked with the top tight ends in the league, which is true. They were. Mm-hmm. So we feel really good about the kind of player he is, and we have to do what's best for our team as well. And again, we have a lot of respect for him and he continues to remain a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. If something changes, we'll update you guys.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's all you need to know.
I mean, geez. But see, here's the thing, though. Personnel people would always tell me once the draft goes by, very few trades happen. Now there are going to be releases this week. You're hearing us Monday morning. Over the next 3 to 4 days, there are going to be some veterans cut around the National Football League, and they become bargains for teams looking for positional help. But when you look at this situation, the time to trade them, and the Eagles tried. I mean, they were talks. There was one team that told me that they just could not make the money work. They were okay with whatever the Eagles were. I'll find out for our Thursday show what the Eagles were asking for. But it's just they couldn't make the money work. Zach's making over $8 million, and as I said in our last show, that's what his contract says. He shouldn't take a pay cut. Right. He's a veteran, but Right now, he's on the roster. We'll see. As you said, even if he's on the roster, they need a third guy. If he's not on the roster, they're really in trouble. Really in trouble.
See, now if there were if other teams out there had like Howie as a GM and we're in the same bind, what they would just do is take Zach's $8 million, call it a signing bonus, guarantee it, spread it out over 3 years, and
they do it to everyone else. These dummy years,
right. But not everybody does that. So, who are the Saints tight end? By the way, they're a team that does that. Do they have a tight end?
Well, yeah, they got the kid from they cut Jared Cook. They only have really the Saints. They've got the kid's name is Adam Troutman. Yeah, Adam Troutman.
I mean, he's all right, but
yeah, I mean, he didn't really play much last year. And they got Nick Vanetta as a wide tight end, but that's it. Yeah.
See, that's a team that doesn't mind kicking money down the road too. I'm surprised.
Oh, they do a lot of it. Oh, they do a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll keep our eyes out on that because they didn't get a tight end in the draft. I don't think so. Maybe they were, and that's what we'll see. If teams that didn't get a tight end in the draft that thought it might reapproach the Eagles about Zach Ertz, but he's not going to be on the team. I have a hard time seeing it.
I'm not disagreeing, my friend. I'm not disagreeing.
All right. Let's go to the offensive line. So, all right. So this is pretty interesting. What does the center picture look like after Jason Kelce?
Well, what I was told is their draft pick is going to be cross-trained, and he was no matter what people tell you, he was drafted to eventually replace Kelce. Okay, Landon Dickerson. All right.
Yeah.
Someone wrote that they're going to move Seumalo, and someone texted me and asked me if it was true. A friend of mine who was an Eagles season ticket holder. I'm like, no. I'm like, who wrote this stuff? This is the complete opposite.
So they're thinking. So the person read that they were going to move Seumalo to center and play Dickerson at left guard.
Yeah, that is not their thinking at this point. Now, of course, things could change, and a year from now.
Yeah, why would you do that? Because Dickerson was a really good center. Right?
He is. And by the way, if you think Kelce is a high character, transformer locker room type of guy, this kid is unbelievable. Like I know why the Eagles drafted him, because he's incredibly gifted and he's a great kid. He's huge. But his character is just remarkable. It's amazing. Kelce, one of the best character guys this team's ever had. Right. This kid is an absolute ass kicker. He's what you would think from Alabama. Okay, he's coached by Nick Saban, but we know about the risks with the knee. We get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So I'm just wondering. We'll have to see his health and where.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah,
but would you, if you're starting the year, what are you doing? I mean, assuming everybody else is healthy. Is your backup center Luke Juriga or is it Nate Herbig?
I would say it's Herbie. I would say that he'll be the top backup guard again.
Backup center guard, right?
Yep.
So Brandon Brooks is your right guard.
Yep.
Lane Johnson, of course, is your right tackle. Jack Driscoll will probably be your top backup swing guard tackle.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, maybe just tackle right now.
Yeah, I don't. It's a good point. I don't know that if they're there with him at guard yet.
We don't even know if he put on any. We have no idea what he looks like.
Right. I haven't. Oh, speaking of that, Nate Herbig's lost 30 pounds. I was told.
Wow, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so he got 30 more to go.
Yeah, he looked.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but he looked severely overweight last season. It was, it wasn't good.
Right.
So.
Well, that's good. I mean, if he's gets a little more juice and a little more athleticism because of it, that could be even better. He wasn't a bad runner.
Well, you're not going to be an athlete when you say athleticism. He'll never be an athlete. He's a tough guy.
There you go. Tough.
But he'll be able to move.
I just meant if he can move a little better.
Right. I know what you meant. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. All right. So, left tackle is going to be interesting. You and I have been pretty.
Mailata's starting, but they'll do a faux competition. Mailata's going to be the starter. I mean,
right. So, what do you do with Dillard? Do you just keep him as a backup?
Yeah, I mean, Brett Toth is also on the roster. Piersbacher is formerly of Washington, and Petta and prior guards. Prior could play right tackle.
Yeah,
if he makes it, of course. I mean, they'll bring to me. Yeah, you absolutely bring him to camp. That if they were going to move him, they would have done it during the draft. So I'm sure they'll say they're going to have a competition. Dillard has no chance to beat out Mailata. There's none. There's not going to happen.
So you got your starting five. Assuming Mailata left tackle.
Yep.
You've got Driscoll as a backup. You've got Herbig as a backup. You've got Dillard as a backup. That's 8, and you're going to keep Dickerson. So that would be atypical of them. Although no, I think they kept 9 offensive linemen last year. I just wonder if there's one of those got well, not Dickerson, obviously, whether it's Dillard, Driscoll, or Herbig. Nah, these guys should be safe. I mean,
Oh, Herbie's not. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, look, the guys. Here are your 8 that are locks. Kelsey's 1, Brooks is 2, Sabalo's 3, Herbig's 4, Lane Johnson's 5, Driscoll 6, Mailata's 7. Dillard won't be cut. He'll be 8 if they don't trade him, and if he doesn't win the left tackle job, which is most likely the case, he'll be 9. And there you go. I don't know if they would keep 10 now.
So we say goodbye to Matt Pryor.
Yep.
We say goodbye to Sua Opeta. Maybe practice.
I would think. That we're talking about this in early May. We're doing a roster projection for 5 months from now, or 4 months from now. But we're having fun with it. We're just using logic here. I mean, you can't now. I don't see more than 5 receivers being kept. I can't see it. I don't see more than 4 running backs kept. Then we're not going to know the real numbers until they have a training camp and have real competition. But we're just using logic here, and in terms of skill set, and guys have been here before and who are proven players. Guys like Jariga are going to have to push for a spot. Peta going to have to push for a spot.
Right.
Pryor's, I wouldn't even say consistency. He kind of got found out. Did we put it on a show last summer that we were like, no matter what's out there, it's not true. He's not the player they thought he was.
Yeah.
I think because a lot of it was, he's definitely the top backup offensive lineman. We're like, nope.
No, it wasn't even the top 2.
Yep.
Right. Because then Jack Driscoll wound up starting right tackle. See, Herbig and Driscoll were the top guys off the bench.
Driscoll's been fine for them. That was everything you and I have heard has been pretty good with him.
I know Stoutland loves him, so we'll see. Yeah. All right. We will wrap it up there, or at least as far as the offensive line and offense, and we'll kind of get into the draft picks a little bit. First, I want to tell everybody, make sure you're checking out phlsportsnation.com. They're always enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all of our professional Philadelphia sports teams. Great content, some great podcasts as well. Check them out on Twitter at phlsportsnation, or just go to the website phlsportsnation.com. And we'll pause for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, if you happen to drop into Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them that Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal. All right, let's go through the Eagles draft, Adam. We'll recap it a little bit here with any extra intel that we've got on since we did our last pod or our last show.
Yep.
Round 1, Devonta Smith, Alabama. I like your note on him because I was wondering about that, and I didn't get too much information about, I think you're right. People assume that the little guys are quiet and unassuming and don't have some dog to him,
Yeah, no, but no, he's not. He's not loud. He's just serious about his job,
right?
And that room needs a major alpha, someone who sets the example, like a Jarvis Landry type. And Landry's a little bit louder. I mean, he's more talkative, but I'm just talking about a guy. If you play for Nick Saban, you're just serious about your job.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And Saban is that way. He's just, he coaches very hard, and you need to respond or he won't be there. And this is the way the kid is. I've talked to so many people. I didn't even, until you and I got a pretty good idea before the draft. We had 4 players the Eagles were going to draft. I'm sure they were pretty certain we had that right. And Smith was one of them.
Right.
And part of it was, did they need a receiver? Yeah. No question. They had him graded very high. Part of it was the character. Character is just terrific.
Right.
You want.
Right. All right. Back onto, I wonder if he's going to be a volume receiver more than we think.
Great question. I'm one on that too.
Yeah.
I would say year 1. See, it depends a lot on Fulgham and if Ertz is off the roster.
Right.
Because if Ertz is on the roster, which you and I are wearing the same hat here, I have my doubts. But if he is, he's going to take targets. Goddard's taking targets. His role's grown no matter what. If Ertz on the roster, it's still going to be better than it had been before. He's also the final year of his rookie contract. But Ertz is getting targets. Goddard's getting targets. Fulgham is going to get targets. Rager's getting targets. So I don't see a big volume. Maybe 50 catches as a rookie.
Okay. That would be nice. Number 2, Landon Dickerson, center from Alabama, center guard. I told you, I had a personnel guy tell me he was a top 25 talent if you just take the injuries out of it. Yep. So that's pretty cool to be able to get that at 37.
As a center, think about that as a center. It tells you how
I know. It shows you how. Yeah, I was gonna say, it shows you how good he really is.
Yep.
Just wonder, like, is he going to sit or is he going to be the top?
Well, it's funny. Roseman was asked in a press conference if it was going to be a redshirt year. Now he said, I don't remember the exact quote. He said, well, maybe when they started their information gathering, he might be, but no, they're not rolling out him playing this season.
Right.
Other teams did not think he'd play this year because he had the ACL in December. So,
well, that's why I'm wondering if maybe if they're so, like, let's say it's mid-October and Kelsey does get hurt, and we say Herbig is the backup, but maybe Dickerson gets
right. But you hate that he misses the entire offseason. He's not on the field to learn the techniques. It's sure he could contribute, but it's hard. This would be his first on-field performance would be in practice in mid-October. I get it, I understand it, but it's it's hard to imagine he would contribute that way. But if, like you said, if Kelsey's out, then you got to do what you got to do.
Gotcha. All right, round 3, Milton Williams, DT,
we talked about
Louisiana
him.
Tech. We talked about him, a little bit undersized, but we might see that come in handy with a stunt 4-3 defense that's going to have guys on the move and looping and twisting. That might come into his advantage. I can see him being a nice little backup nickel pass rusher.
And you're going to have to do that with him because he's not going to be able to play just stationary. He's too small.
Yeah, you got the short arm. So you got to make sure the tackles and even the guards don't get square up on him. You want him you want him moving laterally a little bit. Round 4, cornerback Zach McPherson from Texas Tech via Penn State. Developmental guy, got some tools.
He might be my friend. This is just my sense. It's not a report. It's just gathering information on this kid. I understand there's an opportunity. B, he's going to play this season. He's not going to be, unless he's not what they think. He's going to be dressing every week.
Oh yeah,
he's going to contribute. Now, is he developmental in terms of a 4th round pick? Theoretically, yes, but there's opportunity. They're so bad on the outside. They're super bad right now. He's going to play, and I'm not rolling out any starts. We'll see. I just know the way that they think and other teams think about him, and particularly this team. This is kind of like the Maddox pick. They were all on board. Like, okay, this is the guy. They all, watched the tape and they all, agreeing. And this is the guy. This is the guy that they thought they really stole like Maddox. We'll see how that works out.
I'd be shocked if Howie didn't get a cornerback. Probably.
Oh, it's not a better. They're going to do that. Oh, for sure.
He might even trade for a young one. I'd just be surprised. I can't imagine.
Maybe like they did, as he said in his press conference with Darby, the cap situation will be straightened out by then. Look, they got to sign their rookies. They'll see what they have. You got to have what I call street free agent money. As Joe Banner told me, you should ask him. He said between $3 and $5 million is what you want to have for extensions. B, street free agents if for injury. You could take the super cheap approach, $2 or $3 million. That's dangerous. You want to have more than that. But look, they have, for the first time in Roseman's career, they have a cap problem. It's not a secret to anybody. We knew this was coming. They basically, like you said, free agency go through the fall, and the games aren't until September. They're going to have more free agents, veterans that are on the street. They just don't need to do it now. There are no games right now.
Right. 5th round pick, Kenny Gainwell, running back, Memphis. We talked about him. Just the idea of thinking about Kenny Gainwell has me thinking that it's been a really long time that it won't be Deuce Staley coaching the running backs. Like a really long time.
Yeah.
Right. Who's the last time it was not Deuce Staley coaching running backs? I think it was Ted Williams. Yeah. And that was
then he got Chip reassigned him. Chip reassigned him to scouting.
Yeah, it was 2012. That's right. So who coached running backs that year that Chip took over and then reassigned Ted Williams? No, it was Deuce. It was Deuce, right?
Oh, Deuce. Yeah, it would be Deuce. Yeah, sure.
Yes, yeah. So, how about that? So that's 2015. So it's been quite a while, right? That there's been somebody not coaching running backs other than Deuce. Round 6, Marlon Tuipulotu, defensive tackle, USC. I looked into it. He can play nose, so it does sound like
there you go.
That's the run stuffer that Gannon is looking for. Play a little bit of nose. He can also play 3 technique, so it's not like he's only a nose. But
I don't. he's got some explosion, but yeah, I think you nailed it because when you told us a month or I don't know 2 months ago that you were hearing that Gannon did want a nose, and they haven't a pure nose like Benny Logan. He was a nose, but he was a little bit different because he was super long. Like Benny Logan, boy, did he fizzle for the first couple of years. He was a player, he super long arm for a interior defensive lineman, and then it just never happened. And he just bounced around, and his career ended pretty quickly after that.
There's probably some good similarities here because Benny played the nose, but he also played a 3 technique. He kind of moved around in that front, and I imagine that you'll see the same thing from Marlon. It's weird. He was asked about an injury that he didn't want to get into, and I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you heard. Yeah, somebody said, "Hey, I heard you were dealing with an injury," because he opted out, right, of 2020.
I don't have his information from me.
Oh, okay. I think he was an opt-out, but either way, he was asked about it, and he said he.
Oh, we'll find out. Now that I know that, we'll get it.
Well, he said he preferred to keep it private, so I don't know. So maybe it's something not like a knee or an ankle or a back or anything like that. I don't know. The other round 6 lineman is it Teron, right? It's Teron Jackson from Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, he's a DN. He's got some explosion. He's not super big, he's just over 6'2". We'll know more. I mean, this is the 6th round pick. And then Stevens is the hybrid player who apparently is going to play linebacker. But one thing is just so you know, when things are said in May, that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen in August. So please be careful of it. I've learned my lesson, assuming when coaches say, "Oh, we're going to line him up this way," more for not that's what happens, but there's nothing definite with him. They've got such problems at linebacker and developmental safeties. They just don't have any.
Right.
Well, they have some. Obviously, the kid they drafted last year, the former staff, Kayvon Wallace. To say they weren't high on him would be a understatement. I try to warn people. They came after me on. They were saying I didn't know what I was talking about. When I said, "Okay, we'll see who was right."
Well, he played at Clemson, so everybody's heard of him.
Yeah, I said he's not playing this year. He only played because they were down in numbers.
Correct. Yeah.
Now he gets a reprieve because he's got a new staff. Maybe this new staff likes him, but I had a pretty good source on it, and they were like, "Nope."
You mentioned Stevens, and then of course you finished it off with the linebacker Patrick Johnson from Tulane. Now this was weird.
Oh, he is pass rush. Oh, I got something in my phone. Go ahead.
Well, he was a pass rusher, right?
Yep.
And now are they converting him though to a linebacker, or is he going to be an on the line type linebacker? I
heard a rush outside linebacker.
Right.
Here's personnel source burst motor, has some rush feel, just smaller. Love Philly's pick by the Birds in late. That's exactly who you should take it late in the draft. There you go.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I look forward to linebacker usage being different with this regime than it has been in the past. So maybe you'll see a little more. Obviously, Zimmer is like the godfather of the X blitz. He doesn't use it as much anymore, but the cross blitz with linebackers and.
Well, no, they use double A gap. They do double A gap.
Blitzes, right.
It's not the end all be all that it used to be.
Right.
But we're going to see. Listen, obviously there are tremendous differences between Schwartz and this new guy Gannon, but it's pre-snap and post-snap. The tape showed Schwartz did not believe in post-snap disguise. He just didn't. But actually, pre and post. If they're not. He didn't do a lot. If you graded 32 teams, they're in the bottom 5 of disguise. That's his deal. You could the numbers in the end, though. By the end of the season, you go, "Oh wow, they're ranked here, here, and here." But the biggest embarrassment and indictment of Schwartz is turnovers forced. And it's funny. No one with the Eagles ever would support what he believed in terms of not forcing turnovers. He just didn't. They thought it was ridiculous.
I would love to see Jim Schwartz and Lovie Smith have like a conversation about turnovers and whether or not they're happenstance or whether you can actually do something.
Of course you can, because you're trying to impact the quarterback. You're making him think.
Exactly.
As smart as Schwartz is, it's incredibly ridiculous that he'd say that, and no one would challenge him because it's basically inarguable with him. You're not going to win.
Right.
He just wouldn't listen. He's
that Georgetown education, man. He's hard to argue against.
Well, no, because he's going to have his information to support it.
Of course.
And it's just not worth it because he is the way he is. But again, if you grade him by categories, a lot of them are pretty good. Points against, several important categories he wins, but turnovers forced, which are very important, he's just bad with it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. We'll thank our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his YouTube channel. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter @Broads81 and @BroadsMedia. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the birds.